In 2007, Apple reinvented the concept of the phone. In September 2021, the iPhone 13 was released. In this video, we will be taking a look at every single iPhone and how they evolved over the years. Let's begin where it all started. In 2007, Steve Jobs revealed the iPhone as
an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. These are not three separate devices. This is one device.
iPhone is the first phone that we call smartphones today. Although not impressive today, it was the best tech innovation of 2007. Unlike other phones of the time, iPhone only had one button to control the phone with, which was the home button. Steve Jobs said that the iPhone could be optimized for any user interface, since every app wants a different user interface, and that is how apps work today. iPhone had a 3.5-inch display, a 2-megapixel camera, and yes, a Samsung processor, and 128 megabytes of RAM. iPhone 1 came at a starting price of $500. iPhones became really high in demand, but there was one huge complaint about them, and that it was too expensive. So that's where iPhone 3G comes in.
The first phone to beat the iPhone. It surfs the web and downloads data twice as fast for half the price. Introducing the new iPhone 3G.
iPhone 3G also came with the App Store for the first time, something that users on the iPhone 1 had to wait an entire year before getting. Besides the App Store, the iPhone 3G had an accelerometer and gyroscope support. The iPhone 3G was also able to connect to 3G networks, which was much faster at the time. It was also cheaper than its predecessor because the iPhone 3G used the same specifications as the original iPhone. The new price of the iPhone 3G was $200. The iPhone 3GS was the third iPhone ever created. It was advertised as being slightly faster than the iPhone 3G, but looking the exact same.
I think it's the same.
Introducing the next iPhone. It's the iPhone you love. Now with video. Just one of the amazing new features on the iPhone 3GS, the fastest, most powerful iPhone yet.
The S in iPhone 3GS stood for speed. Besides being slightly faster, the iPhone 3GS added support for video and added a 3-megapixel rear camera. The price was exactly the same as the iPhone 3G. The iPhone 3GS started coming in white. The 3GS also had a slightly underclocked processor, but had more RAM, making it a little bit faster. It was also the first iPhone to have a 32GB storage option. In 2010, Apple released the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4 was the biggest change to the iPhone at the time and featured a new design language that is currently used on the current iPhones. The iPhone 4 changes everything, again. Apple added the front-facing camera to the iPhone 4, which meant that the iPhone 4 supported FaceTime. There were also multiple changes to the inside. It was the first iPhone to use Apple's custom processors, starting with the A4. It featured an 800 MHz processor while the RAM was increased to 512 megabytes. The iPhone 4S was another S update. It looked identical to the iPhone 4, but was also the first phone to have support for Siri, which is Apple's voice assistant that is still used today. It also features a new antenna system that allowed for more space inside the iPhone, resulting in better cellular connection. It was a huge upgrade to the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4S had an A5 chip, which allowed the iPhone to be slightly faster, and was the first iPhone to have a 64GB storage option. Fun fact, in this case, the S stands for Siri. Also, this was the last iPhone Steve Jobs announced, as he died the day after he announced it. Anyways, I think I need help with my math homework. Hey Siri, what is 0 divided by 0?
Imagine that you have 0 cookies, and you split them evenly among 0 friends. How many cookies does each person get? See, it doesn't make sense, and Cookie Monster is sad that there are no cookies. and your friends are sad because they don't exist. Oh wow, this escalated quickly.
If you would like to be my friend, please consider subscribing. On the iPhone 4S, the rear camera got a huge upgrade, allowing 8 megapixels instead of 5, which meant better camera quality. In 2012, Apple released the iPhone 5, and it features the most suggested feature, a bigger screen. You see, Apple wanted the devices to be used with one hand, but a lot of people didn't care about one-hand use. They wanted a bigger screen size. Apple compromised this by making the screen a little bit bigger, but small enough for the hand to be used. The iPhone 5 also featured a new port called the Lightning port, which allowed people to charge their phones a lot faster and transfer data between their phone and other devices a lot more efficient. This already sounds like a really great upgrade, but it gets even better. The iPhone 5 is also the first phone to support 4G networking, which meant that cellular data was a lot faster. The phone was 2 times faster and the selfie camera was improved a lot. In 2013, Apple decided to release 2 iPhones, the iPhone 5S and the 5C. Let's start with the 5C. The 5C was basically a plastic iPhone 5 in colors, had the same exact specifications as the iPhone 5. This iPhone was not received positive as the iPhone 5S, released at the same time, was a much bigger upgrade over the 5C. It also only costed $100 extra. The iPhone 5S was the first phone to have support for Touch ID, which allowed you to unlock your phone with your finger. It also had 64-bit processing with the A7 chip, allowing the iPhone 5S to be a lot faster than the 5C. Other than that, the specifications were about the same as the 5C. The iPhone 6 was the next phone to be released. It ditched the idea of being able to use your phone with one hand completely. The iPhone 6 was and it still is the best-selling phone in the world, with 222 million iPhone 6s sold. The iPhone 6 had a much bigger screen, but the specifications are nothing different from the 5S, as the A8 chip performs similar to the A7. Along with the iPhone 6, Apple released the iPhone 6 Plus, which made the iPhone a lot bigger. Following the huge success to the iPhone 6, Apple released the iPhone 6s, which made the phone more powerful and added new features that newer iPhones don't have today, 3D Touch. Because of 3D Touch, Apple advertised the 6s as everything changed. As of making this video, the iPhone 6s is the oldest iPhone that is still supported by Apple. Here are the specifications of the iPhone 6s. The iPhone 6s had a much better camera, a more powerful processor, and a lot more memory. The iPhone 6s Plus was a much bigger iPhone 6s with a much bigger battery. In March of 2016, Apple released the first generation iPhone SE. SE stood for Special Edition. It used the same design as the iPhone 5s, added new camera, and added the A9 processor to it, which allowed the iPhone SE to achieve the same performance as the iPhone 6s. At the time, this was the best value iPhone to get, and I believe at the same time this iPhone was a total steal, as the iPhone SE costed $399. Unfortunately, you couldn't get a 2-year contract discount with the iPhone SE, but the iPhone SE was a truly big step for small. Apple released the iPhone 7 in September of 2016. The main change against the iPhone 6s and the 7 was that it was water resistant. This meant that if you accidentally drop your iPhone in water, it will survive. The iPhone 7 also had the new A10 Fusion chip, which fused the 2 processor cores together, making the iPhone 7 a lot faster than the 6s. The iPhone 7 Plus was also the first iPhone to have support for portrait mode, which put blur in the background of the person you are wishing to take a picture of. In 2017, the iPhone 8 was the next iPhone to be released. The iPhone 8 had a glass back and was able to wireless charge. The iPhone 8 was also able to take portrait photos. Previously, this was exclusive to the Plus models. Along with the iPhone 8, Apple also released the iPhone X. It was the biggest upgrade from the original iPhone. It featured the same specifications as the iPhone 8 Plus, but had more features including Face ID, which replaced Touch ID, and an all-screen design. It also featured the first OLED display on an iPhone, which meant that the iPhone X looked a lot better than the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. It also removed the home button. However, this came at a pretty large price of $1,000. In 2018, Apple released the iPhone XS. Its only major change was the A12 chip, as this was an S upgrade. Also in 2018, Apple released the iPhone XR. For a while, it was the best value iPhone you can get, even though it was meant to be a budget phone. It sure was a very premium upgrade over the 8. You see, the iPhone X and the iPhone XS's main complaint was the price. When Apple released the iPhone XR, it immediately became the best-selling phone of 2018 and 2019 because of the price of $749. It was just as fast as the iPhone XS because of the A12 Bionic chip. In 2019, Apple released the iPhone 11. It was a pretty big upgrade over the XR as it featured a 12-megapixel selfie camera, which meant better selfies. The iPhone 11 also featured the A13 Bionic chip, which made the iPhone 11 a lot faster than the XR. It also cost less than the XR, making it the new best value phone. Apple also released the 11 Pro and the Pro Max. They added a third camera to it. In April of 2020, Apple released the second generation iPhone SE during the pandemic. It was the iPhone 8 but had the ability to capture 4K video and achieves the same performance as the iPhone 11. It only costs $400. In October of 2020, Apple released the iPhone 12. It brought back the design language of the iPhone 4. Not only was it a big redesign of the iPhone, it also added the ability to charge things with MagSafe. It could have ended there and the iPhone 12 would still be a good upgrade over the 11, but no. The iPhone 12 added support for 5G. This allowed the iPhone to be able to download things really fast off of cellular data. The iPhone 12 also added ceramic shield to the front of the iPhone, which allowed the front of the iPhone to be very resistant to breaking. The A14 Bionic was a massive upgrade over the A13 Bionic, making the iPhone 12 a lot faster than the 11. This was also the first iPhone to come in a mini size. Along with the iPhone 12, Apple released the iPhone 12 Pro. It had all the features and changes the iPhone 12 had, but the iPhone 12 added a LiDAR sensor, which helped with AR a lot. However, there is an exclusive feature on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. That feature is sensor shift stabilization. The iPhone 12 Pros also added ProRAW photos, which gave photo editors a lot more editing features. In 2021, Apple released the iPhone 13. It featured a new camera design which allowed for more space inside of the 13's camera. The first main feature of the iPhone 13's camera is cinematic mode. In other words, it is portrait mode video. The iPhone 13 also added sensor shift stabilization, something previously exclusive to the 12 Pro Max. It also shrunk the notch a little bit and featured a larger battery. Along with the iPhone 13, Apple released the iPhone 13 Pro. It had all of the same features the 13 had, but the main thing it had was 120Hz display, which allowed for super smooth scrolling, and it can go all the way down to 10Hz, allowing for better battery life when you're not doing anything. Previously, iPhone screens were only stuck at 60Hz. The iPhone 13 Pro also added macro mode, in other words, a mini microscope. It was also capable of recording ProRes video, which gave video editors more power over the video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and share this video with your friends as it will help out the channel a lot.